So, ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of all this negative feedback that Lil Wayne is getting for his Carter 6 album, many people are going as far as to say Lil Wayne is done, and they're making jokes saying that his lighter ran out of lighter fluid or whatever. I'm not here to talk about what I think about the Carter 6 because this is not necessarily a review channel, but I may talk about it later in the week or whatever. But as of right now, I'm not really going to focus too much on Carter 6. I instead wanted to take this opportunity to remind everybody that the Carter is a very dope album series, obviously. It's an iconic album series within hip hop history, one of the more dope album series that we have seen. And I wanted to talk about two of my favorite albums in the Carter series, which is the Carter 2 and the Carter 3. Now, the Carter 2, by many people, by many hip hop purists, it's considered to be the best Carter. And regardless of where you stand in the conversation, some of you may think the Carter 1 is better. Some of you may think the Carter 4 or 5 is better. Some of you may think Carter 3 is better. Wherever you stand in this conversation, there's not necessarily a wrong answer. I know me personally, I'm biased. I believe that the Carter 3 is the best Lil Wayne album. And yeah, part of it is based on my experience, of course, because when the Carter 2 came out, I was in elementary school. I listened to Lil Wayne a little bit. Like I would hear it from time to time, but I wasn't super tapped in just yet. Like, even though I listened to music a lot and I was passionate about music a lot, growing up in New York at that time, I was more so exposed to a lot of 90s music, particularly 90s artists from New York, Wu-Tang, Tribe Called Quest, things of that nature, of course. So I was still hearing some Lil Wayne, but not a whole lot just yet. But by the time we fast forward to 2008, by then I'm in middle school and I'm super tapped in to Lil Wayne at that point. And even though I was already passionate about music back in elementary school, I was more passionate about it by the time I got to middle school. And not only that, at that time, that was the beginning of me diving into the world of endless music on the internet. Obviously, YouTube was already started to pick up a lot of steam by 2008, so there was a whole bunch of tracks on YouTube from different rappers, as well as a bunch of video uploads of Lil Wayne mixtape cuts. Then on top of that, you also still had LimeWire, which was still extremely popular at the time. These different websites that you would go to download music illegally, like LimeWire and BitTorrent and Napster and all that stuff. And at that time, that was a big part of the music experience as a kid growing up at that time. Like you and maybe one or two of my classmates who were also passionate about music at that time. We used to love like going on MySpace and then coming back to school the next, not MySpace, well, no, sometimes MySpace, but typically LimeWire. We would go on LimeWire to try to find different leaks from different artists and try to find all of these album cuts that didn't make the album or the mixtape, and then try to go back to school to tell each other like, hey, did you hear this one yet, and try to put each other on. And it was a fun little experience at that time. So I am biased in that sense, but even beyond that, I do just think the Carter 3 is just a better album overall, even though I still fully understand why people would prefer the Carter 2. Of course, the Carter 2 is my second favorite out of the Carter series. Like, when it comes to the Carter 2, obviously, when you listen to it, Lil Wayne sounded a lot more hungrier, like he wanted to prove a point, like he wanted to, and this makes perfect sense when you think about the timeline of everything. Lil Wayne clearly had a little more of a chip on his shoulder at that time. Lil Wayne is seeing a vacancy in the throne within hip hop, and instead of him waiting for people to appoint him the next guy, he's going out of his way to let you know that he is in fact that guy. So he's coming through with extremely hard songs like The Mob, which is, in my opinion, one of Lil Wayne's best intro tracks in his entire discography. So many quotables on that song, it goes crazy. And then on top of that, you also have really dope underrated cuts that eventually became singles, like Hustler's Music, which was, to this day, I think Hustler Music is like a top 5 Lil Wayne song of all time. So you have classics like that in the midst of the Carter 2. Whereas on the Carter 3, there's also classic songs, but in my opinion, this is just my perception, my perspective. I think the Carter 3 had a different vibe, whereas the Carter 2 sounded extremely hungry and aggressive. The Carter 3 felt a little more triumphant. It felt a little more like he was basking in the glory of feeling like he conquered that goal, right? Like on the Carter 2, it was him saying, "Hey, I'm the best rapper alive." And he saw pushback at that time because many people at that time were looking at him and saying, "What?" People were looking at him like he was crazy. Like, wait, what are you talking about? What you mean you're the best rapper alive, right? By the time the Carter 3 came out, not as much pushback was there anymore because Lil Wayne had already cemented himself as the biggest rapper on the planet at that time. So, in my opinion, it felt like there was a little more of a triumphant vibe with songs like Three Peat, which basically Three Peat was a remake of I'm Me, which is one of the songs that leaked prior to the album coming out. That was another thing too, right? Like the album before it dropped, a bunch of songs leaked. Lil Wayne instead put it out in the form of like a EP/mixtape called The Leak. But either way, songs like I'm Me. Then he also had more fun songs, party songs like Got Money. And then also throwing some more fun songs like A Milli. But at the same time, he also still had some other songs on the Carter 3 where he did sound very hungry, like on the song Mr. Carter with Jay-Z, which it makes sense why he's hungry on that song. This is his biggest moment of his career with this album. He's got to collab with Jay-Z. He's clearly hungry to let people know that he could keep up bar for bar with Jay-Z. And even the end of that verse where he says, "Next time you mention Pac, Biggie, or Jay-Z, don't forget Weezy, baby." To this day, that line still kind of gives me chills, or it still kind of gives me goosebumps, to be honest with you. But overall, I personally believe the Carter 3 is better than the Carter 2. I think the Carter 3 truly is the best Carter in the whole album series, not just because it's the most popular. I just prefer it the most. Let me know, do you think the Carter 2 is the best, or do you think a different Carter is the best? Maybe you're somebody who preferred the Carter 1 or the Carter 4. Let me know in the comment section below.